This week on Pivot with Purpose. I don't know when or how. One day she said, I'm a refugee from Thailand.
Everybody books a cruise to the Bahamas. And they're like, okay, you need a passport. And they're like, well, you need to be a U.S. citizen. And I said, oh, well, I have my green card. I have refugee status. And they're like, well, you can't get a passport for the U.S. because you're not a citizen. So I called the Thai embassy and they're like, well, you were born on refugee grounds, so you're not technically a Thai citizen. I didn't belong to any country, or any country wouldn't claim me. So I applied, I fill out the paperwork, I take the interview, and then I get an email from him a couple days later stating, you put on your application that you had a criminal record. One of the things that you cannot have on your record when you apply for your citizenship is any criminal history.
Really?
So, and you have to be clear of that for 5 years. I was 3 weeks shy of that statute.
We're back. Here's another episode of Pivot with Purpose. Let me put this black thick thing close to my face. I just did that for nothing because he already did the sound check. My mic was just fine. I just wanted to touch it. We are back with another episode. Before we even begin, I want to tell you that I'm tired. I am tired, and even though my body and my mind are physically tired, I'm loving what I'm doing, y'all. This is another recording right off of the plane from Atlanta. I leave to LA and to Vegas in a couple of weeks. I have more book recordings, and it's just a reminder that when you love what you do, you get tired. But it doesn't feel like that remember that cubicle feeling. For me, I know someone who loves that cubicle. I know plenty of people who love that cubicle, actually. They love to go to their 9 to 5 or whatever. For me, it was not. Like, if I tell someone that loves a cubicle to come do what I do, they're like, eh. But when you love what you do, man, it's so fulfilling. Like, even though I'm drained because of my energy, because I'm human and I gotta sleep, I'm filled. Like, it's filling me. So just find what you love to do. So that's why I brought this bitch over here. I have Linda J. I don't know.
Linda J works.
Who?
You just gotta sound it out.
What is it?
Jokbengboon.
Bullshit. You want me to I'm gonna write down in the description, but the name there's no sounding that out. I have known you for I don't know how long, and I won't even try. It's very intimidating.
AKA Linda J. AKA Linda Sells Orlando.
She sure do.
But all my all my high school friends, they call me by my last name. Like, they'll scream it down the hall to this day.
Jokbengboon.
Jokbengboon. See, it ain't that hard.
Jokbengboon. I don't think I've ever said that. Anywho, I'm gonna tell you who she is. She already said Linda sells Orlando. So what does she sell in Orlando herself? No. But I'll tell you what she does sell in a minute. Before we get started, I want to shout out this week as well, a YouTube comment, because I always talk about Apple Podcasts and you guys are like it. My show has grown audio-wise in the last 5 years. Crazy because of 1, you listening, 2, you sharing, and 3, you leaving a rate and review. Like, there's a lot of pods when you go on to it, just like an Amazon, you go and you're like, just 2 reviews and you're like, it might be a little sketchy. When you go to the pod and you see 400 or 500, I think we're like 512. So let's get that to like 600 if we can. Take your phone, your friend's phone, your baby daddy phone, his girlfriend's phone. I don't care. Your ex-boyfriend, the chick you beat up last week. If they have an iPhone, take it. Leave a rating, leave a review. It really helps grow the podcast. But on YouTube, I just started monetizing it. So shout out to YouTube. A little $5 check. I was like, yes, I'm rich. But it felt really good to know that now I have a visual audience. So Mir, M-I-E-R-E. So Mir said, I came across your content on TikTok. Shout out to TikTok too. And I am a fan. I'm a fan of you. Your podcast and Ariel came right on time. The topics discussed need to be talked about more, but society isn't ready for that conversation though. Carla, please continue living your truth, being positive and inspiring to all of us. Oh my God. I'm glad I inspire you. No, but seriously, those comments really mean a lot to me, and I do read them, and I do read some. What's crazy is I don't have a lot of negative comments. And I am so happy for them. The negative one comes from people I know. The ones that shouldn't be negative. You know who you are. And you know you're watching. I know you're watching. You don't talk about it, but I know you're watching. Hey.
Oh,
how you
my
doing?
God.
Moving right along. The Lord said, don't match the energy. Just show up to work and I'm going to fulfill you. So here I am. Lord. Linda. Jokbengboon.
Good job.
Boom. Linda, how did I even meet you? I don't know.
I really feel like it all started with your dad.
I really do
started
too.
from there.
So she was my dad's realtor.
Yes.
Like legitimately my dad's realtor. She's been a realtor for I don't know how long, 75 years. And like that's all. It's like Linda the realtor. Like everywhere it's like Linda the realtor. Like you know Linda the realtor here, especially locally. So she was my dad's realtor. I don't know how we became friends, but I'd be telling her some deep shit sometimes. And I'm like, we just be talking.
Yes.
And I know that now I'm looking into purchasing real estate because I've always been very transparent. My house I inherited. I don't know nothing about purchasing a house, mortgages, nothing. My daddy said, here you go, and there's no mortgage. So I don't know the process. And it's still very intimidating, the process of real estate. But I feel like you make it seem so like, we got it. We'll get it done. But she also deals with a lot of millionaires. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about her story because we always look at the peak of things. So everybody, a lot of people that I have here, you look at their glory days and their highlight days. And yes, she's like, I am top realtor here, whatever. But I don't know when or how. One day she said, I'm a refugee from Thailand. And I think it had something to do with a trip. Actually, I think that's why it came up because she is on a plane. She's always on a plane. And I never noticed that every plane she would go on and every beach she was at was local or U.S. territory.
Facts.
Never. So it must have been something international where she said, I can't. I'm like, oh, she's a felon. I'm like, for sure she killed somebody.
I'm an illegal.
And then it's like, oh, no, I'm a refugee. And I'm like, what? You don't... I mean, I know you're Asian, but like you don't have to take it that far. And that story is never, I don't think I've ever heard you talk about it. And I don't really feel like people know about it, but they see this beautiful, young, successful Asian chick and they probably think crazy rich Asians. And that's what I know about Asians. All I know is Asians got money. I'm not going to appropriate. $5. But, it's just, that's what you think of when you think of Asians. In Spanish, they're all chinos, Ahí está el chino. And it's just, I didn't know. I really didn't know. So what I want from you is, one, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I don't even drink like that, y'all. We took a shot of tequila. I feel like I'm cross-eyed.
I mean, I haven't had a shot in quite a hot minute, so I'm a little loose, and it's warm now too. So
I'm like, I know it wasn't this hot, and I know that it's the tequila because Jesus, it burnt my throat. But can we just take it back? Because we're gonna talk about her glory days, of course. But when did you get here?
I was a little bit past 2. Yeah,
so like Psalm's age.
I'm from my family's from Laos. I'm Laotian.
Who?
Laotian. From Laos, right next door to Thailand.
Okay. There's a whole other country.
Yeah.
You said Thailand.
Well, I was born in Thailand, so technically I'm a Thai. I should be a Thai citizen, but so my family crossed over from Laos to escape communism.
Okay.
And we crossed over the border. They ended up in a refugee camp in Thailand.
Wow.
And we were there for about 2 years, and that's where I was born. Like,
okay.
Like it's hard to imagine, but like a true refugee camp, like camps and like tents and, rationing food, like my parents' closest friends who were like in the kind of same tent together, like they shared their one egg to feed me when I was younger.
Stop.
So it's, and you don't really realize the gravity of what they had to do until like you're older and you hear them tell you the story again.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there for a while. Then hopped over to the Philippines for like in Manila for maybe a couple of weeks, and then ended up here in the States, and we landed in Holland, Michigan. Okay. So
how did that even happen?
Some sort of, I don't know all the details, and I sucks to admit, but like somebody sponsored us somewhere. I think my uncle in New York sponsored us.
Okay.
So we ended up here in Holland, Michigan. We were in Michigan until I was in about 4th grade, and then it was too cold for my parents, so we moved down to Florida.
Okay.
Ended up in Fort Myers, stayed there for a couple of years. It was too hot. So then my parents moved to North Carolina, and that's where I like kind of my most impressionable years, I guess you could say, grew up in from 8th grade up.
Okay.
So But during that time, like my dad gambled all of his life. Like at some points he was driving the gold Mercedes. My friends in high school would call it the Butter Benz. Like a daddy's here picking you up in the Butter Benz. But then there were like, you can't gamble all your life. There were extreme lows. So my mom worked 2 full-time jobs to get me and my brother and sister and like to make ends meet. And then I think around 8th grade is when I started working at a Chinese takeout place, getting paid cash, like making $400 a week. So
wow.
I was balling for like an 8th grader.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That is, adults don't make that.
Yeah. So cash. So
nice.
So I've always had to like, I always knew from an early age, like seeing my mom work, that nothing's gonna get handed to you. You've gotta work to get what's yours. If you want a phone, you got to go work for it. If you want a car, you got to go work for it. Because she didn't have the means to be able to get me what I wanted.
Right.
So that's
wow. Are your parents still together?
No, the gambling eventually did it in. They've been separated probably since I was in high school.
Okay.
And at that point, like the fighting got so bad. When I was in college, I went to UF for college. So I returned back to Florida because I'm like a Florida girl at heart. Like I love the heat and the humidity and all of that. Went to UF. And
how did you go to UF? Is expensive. So, and if you're coming out of state, so how did you go there?
I paid out of state. I didn't get a full ride to Chapel Hill, to UNC Chapel Hill.
You did or you didn't?
I did not. I almost, like it was a considerable amount. And I still chose to go out of state just because in North Carolina, it was either you were black or you were white. And I was like in the middle, and I didn't really fit left or right. And it just was a lot more diverse down here. So I wanted to get back to Florida.
So how did you pay for that?
I worked for, I paid out of state.
Which is expensive.
I did the FAFSA shit. And got all the Pell Grants and everything that I could. I ran up the student loans. And God, if I knew what I know now, I went and bought the Burberry bag with my student loan money and all that shit.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, it was
the
bad.
extra like loan or the extra Pell Grant money. It's like it hits your account when you're that age.
And you're like,
they're like right. $10,000. Here you are. Like
I paid my books. I paid my tuition. I paid my room and board. And I was like, oh, I got all this extra money left. And then it's like taxing you at 23% or whatever it is now. Thank God I'm almost done. Yeah. I still got like $5,000 left.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a stand-up citizen.
Because it'll fuck you up. You can't buy a house if you got bad credit.
Does it mess up your credit?
Oh, yeah.
I'm still in deferment.
Well, if you're in deferment, ride that wave.
I'm going to continue.
Ride it for as long as you can.
I'm not paying nothing.
So came down to Florida. The fighting with my mom and dad got so bad. I actually took my brother and my sister.
They're younger.
My brother, I don't know how old that little guy is. He was born in 93 and my sister was born in 1990.
Okay.
So they came and lived with me for 2 years while I was in college.
Wow.
While my parents like figured it out. And then I got from there I finished school. The summer going into my senior year, I got a job offer or an internship with a builder called
What were you studying?
Political science.
Okay.
At one point, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Until
I saw like the small fucking print in the law books, and I was like, nah, I can't do 4 years of this. No way.
It's a lot of reading.
Yeah, no, thank you. Summer going into my senior year of college, I got an internship with a company called Pulte Homes, a big builder, down in the Naples-Fort Myers area. And that was when the market was wild, like 2005. Oh, yeah. Like, market was super wild.
That's when I got my real estate license.
Oh.
Never used it. My dad told me to get it.
It was a good time to get it.
Yeah.
Basically taking
He
orders.
was like, you're going to make me so much money. Yes. And I was like, I don't like this shit.
And the market was wild at the end of the internship. And like, I would be writing contracts for my mentor guy. They would release a building and I would write 8 contracts a day for him. And if you didn't want it, the 5 people behind you would buy it. So at the end of the summer, they were like, upon graduation, you have a job with us. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to fucking bank. Like, I'm going to bank. I'm going to make so much money. And when I did graduate, summer of 2006, the market crashed. So they still hired me. And it was the market was a total 180. Like I had to work for every sale. Like I actually had to like sell, learn my skill, and hustle.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've been hustling. What's crazy and what's one thing that I'm noticing as you're telling the story, because I didn't know all this, is that you say it with so much ease, but that is so much adversity.
Oh,
that
no,
is
it is.
so much struggle.
It was tough because so I stayed with the builder for 3 years and then I eventually got laid off.
No, but I'm even talking about before when you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
my dad was gambling. We have ups, we have downs. I took my siblings in.
Yeah.
Like taking your you became a mom essentially.
It was crazy.
And to like older kids, were they teenagers?
No, my brother was in elementary school and my sister was in middle school.
So you had to take them to school while you went to school.
Yeah.
How did you feed them? By working?
Yeah, I would go to work. I would leave them at the house because they could self-manage. They were like good kids.
Mm-hmm.
They would self-manage, and I'd pick my brother up from the bus stop. I'd blast like Britney Spears "Toxic," like, and he'd be so embarrassed. But yeah, it was. I had to get him out of there. Like it was the right thing to do. But my sister it's really. She's probably gonna get mad at me for telling this, but like my sister at one point, actually we just found out maybe 5 years ago, she felt like my parents sent her away. Like they didn't want her. And that's why she came to live with me. And it was like, bro, that wasn't even it. That was like, I was trying to get you guys out of this toxic environment so you could focus because all you were listening to were my parents fighting. So.
That's huge because I feel like a lot of kids, you're a teenager at that point, right? I mean, like 18 to 21.
Yeah.
So you're a teenager, a very early adult. And at that point, you want to party. You're at UF.
Yeah.
You're a gator. Yeah. Like you all get fucked up. Like there's
and that's
drinking.
Like the years when like Tebow and like the back-to-back championships. So
literally, that's because 05 is when I graduated. I graduated in 05. So you were there before that. What year did you get there? Because we're a couple years apart.
02.
Yeah.
02 to 06.
So yeah. Those were some serious years for getting football was huge. And you decided to take on the responsibility of a mom, essentially.
Pretty much.
Of raising children. And 2 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I feel Psalm's 2.5. And I'm like, he's been here for a long time. Like, I can't remember life without him. So I'm sure there's a point in time when you can't remember life without mothering them while in school.
Yeah.
Like where he says, like, it's the norm. The norm is for y'all to be here and I take care of you and I provide food for you and I provide clothing for you. I provide housing for you. You have to show up. You can't just leave them. You can't leave for 3 or 4 days.
No. Yeah. It was, it was crazy. Now that I think about it, I say it out loud. It is a little
right.
crazy.
Because you're saying it so not like, because it is your life, right? So you're just like, but it's like, take a second to think back. There's people right now that complain about like the smallest thing. Like, oh my God, I don't have Wi-Fi. Like we all go through. Sometimes we forget where we come from and things that we've been through, right? So it's like when you're running through a hard day, you'll forget the struggle that you went through. So it's like, oh, if I got through that, this is nothing. I did want to ask you, do you remember any of the refugee, like that young age?
No.
You just remember America?
Yeah. I don't remember anything past that. But it's like a big goal for me to be able to go back with my mom and to tour like where the camp's not there, of course, anymore, right? But like I want to go back to where the camp was. I want to go visit my like still living aunt on my dad's side to see how they live, where my mom's family lived. And I haven't been able to do that haven't been allowed to do that until now. So
going back to how I found out, which I truly believe, I don't remember the conversation, but I know it had something to do with flying internationally and her saying, I can't, and tells me this, you still lived that. You had a limitation.
Yeah. And
you lived it to the fullest. And that's one thing I can say about you. You live with everything that you've had, you still lived to the fullest. You didn't I never knew you couldn't go outside the country because it seemed like you had been to every country from what you've done.
Hawaii, Puerto Rico, all very U.S. territories. Guam. I didn't go to Guam though. But
did you go to the Virgin Islands?
Yes, Virgin Islands, St. Thomas.
Yes, I feel like you were always doing something. And within the U.S., I feel like sometimes we all take for granted the fact that, U.S. citizens and us Puerto Ricans. I feel like people, or Americans, I should say, take for granted our own country.
For sure.
Like, we have so many beautiful places. Even in Puerto Rico, like, Puerto Rico's like, oh, I'm going to go here. The island is beautiful. This country.
I love Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico's amazing. I hated it till I was about 25, 26 when I finally went as an adult and I had to visit family and just be at like grandma's house or uncle, like, or a friend of my parents, or just being in a house. I got to explore it. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
We're just like, we want to go to Mexico. We want to go to Greece. There are places, and I think I saw really dope places because of you and social media every time you took trips.
Yeah.
Because why is your mindset, or what do you think your mindset comes from? Coming from shitty, bro. Like, your parents are fighting. There's gambling. There's lows. There's no money. Like, you got to work from 8th grade. 8th grade, I was picking my nose somewhere. Like, complaining because there was no food on the, you know what I mean? Like, entitled as hell. And it seems like you just always have like this gratitude feeling. Where does that come from?
I mean, I think it comes from just knowing what I have now. Like, we didn't have that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that growing up. And it's not to blame my parents.
No.
Like, they did the best that they could.
With what they had.
Yeah. And so I just feel like what else can I be but grateful? You know what I mean?
But even then, you're making money. And you look at your bank account and you're like, I can afford to do this. And you're not allowed to. Did you ever have receipts?
Yes. So let me backtrack to tell you what it was that happened. So when I was born in college, senior year, we were like, let's go on a fucking cruise, right? So everybody books a cruise to the Bahamas. It's like 3 days, 2 nights, whatever. And they're like, okay, you need a passport. So I was like, okay. So I marched my little tail down to the post office. I was like, hey, I need to get a passport. And they're like, well, you need to be a U.S. citizen. And I said, oh, well, I have my green card. Like, I'm here legally. I have refugee status. And they're like, well, you can't get a passport for the U.S. because you're not a citizen. Where were you born? I was like, I was born in Thailand. So I had a Thai birth certificate. It was written in Thai. So I called the Thai embassy and they're like, well, you were born on refugee grounds, so you're not technically a Thai citizen, even though my birth certificate was Thai. So I called the Lao embassy. The Lao embassy was like, well, you weren't born in Laos, so you're not a Lao citizen. I was like, I have no fucking country. So that's why I couldn't get a passport from anywhere. Like, typically, if you're not a U.S. citizen, like my friends from the Philippines, they would get a Filipino passport, and then they could travel wherever they need to go. I didn't belong to any country, or any country wouldn't claim me.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I'll apply for my citizen. So I couldn't go on the trip. My friends went without me. I applied for my citizenship.
This is what age?
At that time, it was in college.
Okay, in college.
So at that time, I think it was
That's a
Bush.
long time ago.
Bush was the president.
Ooh, she's
I think.
showing her age.
Yeah, my bad.
The first one or the second one?
Yeah, the second one, thank God. So I applied. I fill out the paperwork. I take the interview. The guy at the interview is like, okay, he's basically stamping all my shit. And he's like, all right, well, they'll call you to do the swearing of the oath thing. And then I get an email from him a couple days later stating, you put on your application that you had a criminal record. I was like, yes, all the paperwork's there. So in high school, I got
no, I'm curious.
I got caught for shoplifting. And
what'd you do?
Shit from the mall, clothes. So I went through the whole court thing without my parents knowing.
Shut up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so they did I had to pay a fine. I had to do community service. I was like, I'm going to college. You can't tell my parents because of like cultural stuff. Like they'll kill me. Like I'm
to the court.
Yes, I'm about to go to college. Like, please just let me go. So they were like, okay, fine. I got sentenced or whatever, and I had to do community service.
Okay.
But that stayed on my record. And one of the things that you cannot have on your record when you apply for your citizenship is any criminal history. As simple as like a speeding ticket.
Really?
So, and you have to be clear of that for 5 years. I was 3 weeks shy of that statute. So they denied me 3 weeks. Had I just waited to apply
3 weeks.
Yeah, I would have. But, I'm like, I can fill out a form.
And you were a minor at that time, no? You said high school? You stole something?
Yeah. I was at 17.
And so that
It's
you were
still
a kid.
yeah, but you have to disclose it, right? Because if you don't disclose it and they find out, it's automatic denial.
Okay.
So then fast forward to I was like, then I'm broke, right? I didn't have enough money to reapply again. I'm a fresh out of college, paying tuition or paying back tuition fees and school loans. Struggling as a realtor, selling homes. And then fast forward, now I'm like, okay, I'm picking up, I'm getting successful, I'm making a little bit of money, I want to travel. I can't get a passport to travel out of the country. So at that point, then I'm like, this kind of fucking sucks. All my friends are starting to travel to like Aruba and to Paris and to whatever, right? As we start getting older and start making more money. So then I was like, well, let me go ahead and apply for my citizenship again. At that time, Trump was in office. And at that time, shit wasn't processing. It typically takes about 6 to 7 months to apply for your citizenship and get an answer. My situation was so convoluted. I was in the system for like 2.5 years. And then my lawyer, I had to get a lawyer. My lawyer, that first lawyer, like dropped the ball. But then she was also like, hey, because you have this on your record, because of the administration that it's in office right now, they could technically still deny you.
Off of stealing panties at the mall.
Yeah, and they don't care because the statute of limitations for criminal stuff when it comes to immigration goes forever. It doesn't drop. So they said the other thing is if they if your denial is based off of a criminal poor moral aptitude or character, you automatically get sent to like basically immigration court after that.
And they could ship you away?
Right.
To where? Nobody.
That's the thing. I was like, well, where the fuck they gonna ship me? I have no country. They're like, they could send you to Guam. I was like, oh my God.
Why Guam?
Oh, I don't know. Because it's like a weird territory.
Okay.
So yeah, it was so that lived in fear. And then they were like, well, while you're during that administration, while your application is in the process, you can't even get a speeding ticket because that could automatically deny you. So I was like, that
you're walking on eggshells
yes.
like every day.
That whole administration, like, politics, whatever, like there are other things why I don't like that administration. Mm-hmm. But for me personally, like that part of it, the immigration part of it really like effed me up.
And at this point, you have been an American.
Yeah.
Basically your entire life.
Taxes.
Do you have a social security number?
Yeah. Because okay. I'm legal. Like I have a green card. When you get a green card and you're here on permanent resident status, like the green card can't be revoked.
How were your parents able to get that? Because once you come as a refugee, they give you that automatically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Venezuelans and like
Venezuelans
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a permanent residency card.
Okay. I did not know this.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. That will make anyone, and that again shows us our privilege as Americans. That the fact that I'm like, the courts don't want to get something, we go off and we go on the internet and you can't do that because you're trying to become an American citizen.
Or at the other crazy part is like when Obama was running for office, like that was our era, like that I was part of the demographic of the people that he touched and moved, right? Like I wanted to vote so bad and I couldn't. And then you have
oh shit,
I couldn't vote. I couldn't vote. Yeah. So and then you have people that are squandering away their right to vote, like their inherent right. So that really pissed me off too. Like I pay a shit ton of taxes. I can't vote. I can't have a voice to help make a change.
Right.
And there are people here that take that for granted every day.
Every single day. My goodness. Shit. So when did I didn't know a lot of this stuff because you're always smiling. You're always smiling. Of course, from like the outside, and I'm not with you behind closed doors, but it seems like it doesn't matter what's happening in life. Linda shows up. Linda is happy. Linda's always with friends. You guys are so social. Your circle, they're all Asians.
Yeah.
Like, what is up with has that been your community? Did it all take you in? Because who took you in?
No, because believe it or not, when I moved to North Carolina, I didn't have a strong like I said, I was they would call I was like too hood for the white folks, and I was too not hood, but like, and I was too I was like too proper for the black folks. So it was like they didn't know where to
She
put
is a
me.
little hood.
They didn't know
She's a
where to
little
put me.
ratchet.
It's from North Carolina. They didn't know where to put me. So when I moved to, when I went to UF, I joined like the Asian groups, and that's kind of where all of that really started, to be honest.
So you don't have the Black and Asian that we have here in America. It's like Blacks don't like Asians, blah, blah, blah. Have you experienced that? Have you experienced hate? Have you experienced from your family hating them? She love niggas.
No, luckily for me, my family is we're very open.
Mm-hmm.
Like my brother, sister, and me, we've all dated outside of our races. So it's like my parents never did that. Like they were just very accepting of whatever we were. And plus the environment we grew in North Carolina, we were in like
Where in North Carolina?
In Greensboro.
Okay.
Like the street that I grew up on, I went to a very preppy high school. Like I love my high school, but the street, I went there because I went for the IB program. So it was outside of my district. But the street that we lived on, like if I would walk my dog at night, there'd be a hooker walking down the street.
Oh, wow.
You know, it'd be like you'd hear gunshots every once in a while, like every couple
hood.
weeks. Yeah, we were in the hood.
And I think that's part of even Hispanics fall into that sometimes here in the U.S., especially when I grew up. I grew up in the Conway area. Back in 96, when I first got here to the U.S., Conway was white. It was so white. I went to Conway Elementary. I went to Conway Middle School. Boone High School was my high school. And I was just, when I first got here, I didn't speak English. So I'm over here like, hola, ¿qué pasó? And they're like, no. So they put me with this girl, which I still remember, Yelda. And her mom was Puerto Rican. Her dad was Turkish, but she didn't speak a lick of Spanish. But that was the most Spanish person they had for me. She looks white as all get out. The girl is like dirty blonde and white. But they're like, yeah, we got a Puerto Rican for you. Because her mom she didn't speak Spanish. So I didn't have anything. But again, I'm not Black enough for the Black. I'm definitely not white enough for the white. So I didn't know where I fell, and I didn't have a community of Hispanics. So I feel like I've always I felt like I can connect on that with you, because it's like sometimes you'll say, and we've had some conversations that like the political issues, like, hey, is it right to say the N-word? Is it not? And it's like, I don't know. But she's like, but I grew up this way. And that's the conversation when it comes to Fat Joe and J-Lo and all that. You grow up and that becomes your culture. So her culture, my culture, I was in 4th grade and the kids were like, there goes that nigger. And I'm like, who? And what does that even mean? Like, then they would call me that, but the N-word, like them calling me a nigger, like that hurt. And I could get it because this is not where I'm from. It's my culture, what I'm learning. I'm learning about slavery. I didn't learn anything else. Then as I got older, again, I'm still a nigga to them. But then they would call me a spick. And I'd be like, what is that? But that never bothered me because I didn't relate to the Spanish side. So I wasn't Spanish enough for the Spanish. Like, she doesn't even want to speak Spanish. She don't act like us. And then the whites were like, nah, you're Black. And then they're Blacks when they were like, but you're not even Black. And I'm like, but then where do I fall?
Right.
Because nobody wants me. Because they were like, there's not a country that wants you. I can scream all day, yeah, I'm an American citizen. But then you get to America and it's like, well, where do you belong?
Right.
And I still, to this day, there are times where I don't know where I belong. I think I've gotten more comfortable with saying, yes, I am Hispanic. And I can just say, I am Afro-Latina. I have that. And but then they'll be like, no, you're a white Latina. I'm like, have you seen my nipples? No, you haven't. No, seriously. But like, I do know that that's another thing that you try to figure out who you are. Like, who am I? And like, where do I fall into? What about the language barrier with your parents? Like, do you speak your native? What is your native language?
Laotian. So it's very similar to, I always explain it like, it's very similar to Thai. And the equivalent would be like English and British, right? So the words are the same for the most part. There are some words that are different, and then the accent is different. So Thai people and Laos people can usually understand each other. So it's very similar.
Kind of like
Thai.
Portuguese and Spanish?
Yes.
I still don't understand.
But I can understand Spanish. I cannot understand a lick of Portuguese though.
I can hear certain words.
That's about it.
Portuguese.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I can if they slow it down, I can figure out what they're trying to tell me. But that's about it. Okay, say I want to sell you this house. And what is it? Laotian?
Laotian.
Yeah,
like lay and ocean.
That's so pretty. It sounds like Moana, but where's Moana from?
Hawaii, bitch.
Oh. You look like Moana.
I'll take it. คุยกับใครเฮือนให้เจ้า So that's like, I would like to sell you a
You ain't gonna
house.
tell me that's not Chinese.
No, that is not. It sounds very different.
But that's also, well, no, because Spanish is Spanish, but we all have very different dialects in Spanish.
But I bet you though, people who don't know, you're Mexican.
Absolutely.
Just like I'm Chinese.
I'm Dominican.
Like, no, I am not.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Thai people, maybe Laotians. Laotians.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are also the brown people.
We are brown.
Asians.
We are brown, and we are not the affluent.
Isn't there colorism within the Asians? Yeah. Within Asians,
there's a hierarchy.
What is because of colorism?
Yes, you want to be lighter skinned.
Mm-hmm.
So like Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, they're very much like fairer and lighter. They usually have the most money in the hierarchy as well. And then you have like Southeast Asians. You have Laotians, Cambodians, Thai. Wow. Who am I missing? And we're darker skinned.
Wow. I've always known that you guys definitely have colorism within your community.
Yep.
And it's like they say that Thais are the blacks of the Asians.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, that's what I always heard
it's
from.
More so like and of the three, Thais are a little bit more, I would say, the higher than the other two. Like
what are the other two?
In terms of like Laotians and Cambodians.
Laotians. And you are Laotian. Yeah. In Cambodia, the only reason why I know about Cambodia is Cambodian breast milk from Dave Chappelle. It was on Dave Chappelle show, and he was like saying it was Cambodian breast milk. I don't know. If you know what show I'm talking about, let me know which one it is in the comments, because I don't know which one it is. That's the only thing I remember from, I know about Cambodia. Oh, and then, no, that's Cameroon. Just kidding. That's Africa.
That's a whole different continent, bro.
No, I was thinking Brittany's mom is from Cameroon. I'm Cameroonian, actually, according to my ancestry.
Wow.
And Nigerian. I think it's like 42% African.
Okay.
But Puerto Ricans are from everywhere, like literally everywhere. Okay, so what is it with the thing? What does it feel, at least to us on the outside, that Asians really stick together no matter where you're from?
I think it goes back to just how our family is raised, right? Like, I think you're taught to take care of your family. For example, like when my mom and my dad get old, like we've already been doing it. Like it's just innate in us that we're going to be taking care of my mom and my dad. Like it's not going to be sending them to a nursing home or like that's just what it is. Like my mom's getting ready to retire in 2 weeks. She's been fucking talking about it for like 2 fucking years, but she's getting ready. And now she's like, all right, whose house am I staying at?
Figure it out.
And the goal is, and she doesn't say it like that. Like it is, like we just automatically know that that's what we're going to do. But she's just going to be rotating. She's going to be traveling, and then wherever she lands, she'll be rotating amongst the houses.
And that's the thing. So you guys just all...
At least that's how we were growing up. So like if it starts with your family like that, I think it extends into a loyalty thing and you take care of your own. Not your own meaning we look like the same color, but like for example, my brother, he's got a lot of like black friends. Like that's where he grew up. Like his day ones, that is family to us. Like when we go home and we have family, whatever, they're all there at the house. They all call my mom. Like it is a sense of loyalty that stays with you. It ain't this fuck shit that's going on these days. You know what I mean?
So much of it. And I feel like I love that about a lot of Asian people that I do know. I feel like the family culture, it's so... Even, of course, it's not perfect, but I feel like y'all are the Kardashians. Y'all stick together. Like, it don't matter what is going on. It's like it doesn't matter if it's blood or not. We stick together because a lot of the friendship groups, you can tell they're hella Asian, especially yours. And I'd be like, can I come?
Of course.
I can't. They're going to be like, where'd she come from? She like, it ain't it. But I do love that, though. My friendship group is also it's very diverse. But I'm like, man, I wish that we as people of color stay together more also and not like fight each other off. But then I also wish that the way that Asians stick together, everybody would. As Americans, American is a melting pot. And it's like, bro, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's like nobody is above anybody else. Like, she is rich.
Stop.
as fuck. And you're always so humble, except when she walks in with a big ass bag as big as me. And I'm like, wow, I can fit in there, you know? But you work so hard for that and people don't see that. They might see you walking in here and thinking, wow, look at who she is. But they'll never think of your story. And I feel like that's something that we all need to take in account and maybe kind of check our privilege. Maybe check our privilege. Like, yo, gratitude. Be more gracious and give others grace also.
I tell you what, like, so this real estate journey has been, I mean, it wasn't all like this, right? Like, it took years. Like, I'm 17 years in the business now. So it's not like it happened overnight. But I will say,
how many years would you say you were in the
trenches?
Trenches?
Oh, like probably up until maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like, I thought,
so at least 10 years of hard work.
It takes 2 years before you even like do anything. Anybody who gets into real estate, and by year 2 you guys are doing decent. Like, that's not normal in my opinion. I also thought, like, hey, if I make $100,000 as a realtor, like, I make 6 figures, I'm fucking balling. And I made it. And it's like, you got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your marketing expenses, you got to pay your car, you got to pay your gas, you got to pay insurance, you got to pay medical insurance. And it's like you're left with nothing. $100,000 in real estate is ain't shit.
$100,000, anything entrepreneurship is nothing.
It's not.
I feel like it's as people are like, oh, I want to become an entrepreneur to make 6 figures, and there's a lot of people that sell you 6 figures. If that's your only income, entrepreneurship, $100,000 will leave you with probably $20,000, $25,000 for the year.
Nothing. It feels like nothing.
So you still are working at below minimum wage.
Yeah.
There's something I was about to ask you, shoot, and it left my mind. Whatever, it'll come back. You were saying working, trenches, years. Oh, I was going to ask you, well, you're saying so it's not the norm for 2 years you're making a lot of money.
No.
But what about the bottle girls and the bartenders that do real estate? They ballin'.
Oh my God.
But they got big houses.
Do they though?
I don't know. On Instagram they do.
See,
because right now it seems like real estate is a thing to go to make money right away. And what is it?
I cringe, Carla, every time. Like, when I introduce myself, hey, I'm Linda. What do you do? I sell real estate, and then I'll look you dead in the eye and be like, no, but I really sell real estate. Like,
you have to say that.
I'm not like this part-time realtor showing my ass on IG and showing a house on the next slide. Like, I really do this, you know?
I mean, I'm sure some people, that brand could work. I just don't see how. Plus, I don't think some people know that your numbers and your sales in real estate are public.
Oh, they sure are. I look bitches up all the time.
Can anyone look it up?
No. You can go on somebody's Zillow page, I think, and see all their sales. But, like, for example, with my company, on our app, you can look up any agent in any country, or in any state, and see the numbers that they're doing. So if you come at me like with a wrong attitude, I'll be like, bitch, you've only sold 2 houses this year. Like, or like looking up Selling Tampa's numbers, those agents, or Selling Sunset numbers. It's
Selling Sunset numbers?
Pretty interesting.
Really? Even the Sunset ones?
Mm-hmm. You can. So
wow.
yes,
they making more money from the Netflix check than the real estate one.
There's probably only like 1 or 2 that are actually doing stuff.
Wow.
Anyway, what I was getting at. So, like, I grinded for so long, and I would say, like, even 7 years ago, I'd be looking at somebody and being like, why is that motherfucker selling all these houses? Or why did that motherfucker get this deal? You know, why am I not getting it? Or what am I doing wrong? And the minute I pivoted and changed my mindset that, like, hey, what he got was always going to be his. It was never mine. There is literally enough money to go around. You just have to go get yours.
Right.
Like, and once I changed my mindset and didn't worry about what this person was selling or what this person was selling, I focused on me. Right. It changed, like, my trajectory, like, took off
immediately. Yeah. And I tell you, that mindset change for me was in 2021, right before I moved back, because as I started the agency, right, my academy was doing great. I really wanted to go into production. I'm like, I want to produce big pods. I want to work with a network. And I started seeing networks hiring people left and right. And as the networks were hiring people that I knew, they would get hired, kid you not, And those people would then send me a message. Hey,
How do I do this?
How do I do this? Can you help me with this? And I'm like, but you're the one that landed the job, or you're the one that landed the client, but you're asking me for help. Why am I not getting it? Why isn't the big corporation coming to me? Why don't you see me? I'm here. Look at me. I'm here. And I realize I'm seeking validation from someone that's not even worried about me.
Yeah.
And my name, our name is already written in places that we don't even know.
Facts.
God has already put that in place somewhere. It's like, girl, babe, I got this for you, but you need to change that mindset.
Yep. Or maybe you weren't ready for it.
Definitely wasn't ready for it.
Mm.
He knew that there was something coming that I wouldn't be able. If I would have gotten that iHeart job that I thought I wanted, I don't want to work for iHeart. I want to work with iHeart.
Right.
You know, I want idea to launch, like working with them. I want a contract signed. I don't want a paycheck.
Yep.
And it's like, why did I limit myself to thinking that I would just have a job there? Or why did I even think that I was just good enough to have what they have? There's so much more for me. And when I just said, you know what? I'm going to focus on the shows that I have. I remember Abu became a client, and Abu makes millions. He is like a legit millionaire. And we're going to do Powered AF. And he's been one of my day one clients. And I'm like, well, I'm going to put the effort into this. Yep. And I put the effort into what I had. And from there, I leave. And I've said this story that when I left Jersey, scared, didn't know what was going to happen, shame, I didn't come home. I packed my bags. I left on a plane with my son and landed in Atlanta to meet her for the first time in person, to do a production for 3 days and launch that podcast. And it was like, God said, just stop worrying about everybody else. Yep. Leave the toxic place where you're at. Stop feeling shame. I have something better for you. And it's like, go land in Atlanta, be there for 3 days, and then go home. And then so many doors open from there. Then it's like, I look at my phone and Ebony Cablins is there. Like Mandy has opened so many doors for me as well. And it's like, they can only make an introduction. Yep. Sometimes people are like, it's because of who you're around or whatever.
Sure.
I'll take it.
Yep, that helps.
But there are a lot of people in that room that do what I do, where they're already previously and can't do what I do.
Right.
You're not me. So sometimes when they're like, well, how do you do what you do? Yes, I can give you a blueprint. But if this is not for you and you're not walking in your own purpose and your own path and in what you love, you're not going to be able to do it. And if somebody makes the introduction, I got to sell it.
Yep.
And then I also got to keep the client.
Yep.
Because you can come in and for a month or two and it's like that client goes, and there are so many clients that I've lost, or they've just gone a different way.
Sure.
And they can outgrow me. And sometimes I'll be like, but why did they leave? And then I'm like, a couple months and I'm like, that content that they're making wouldn't align with me. Like just recently I saw amazing entrepreneurs that they went to a different agency and I'm like, oh, wow. I did not know. It's two of them. And the whole thing that I talked about with the psychic had happened, right? And I had to come back and I'm like, girl, get back on it. Like stop thinking the word bruja, which means witch. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and I started realizing that I was working with people that started calling themselves brujas, or they called themselves brujas. And I think they're amazing women. And they're tapped into that field. But I didn't know that I no longer was going to fall in line with that. When I was with them, I loved it. And I was like, this is so amazing. And I still think it is, but I'm like, that would have felt, when this happened to me, I would have felt so outside of alignment with it. So they needed to go somewhere that they can really feel what they're doing and at its best. Because I was doing the best. I was going hard. But when I had that moment last month, would I have dropped them? I wouldn't have produced like the best that I could because of the content.
Right.
So you never know why you might lose a client, not get a job. You have bigger things coming. I wanted a little iHeart job for $80K. And now I have literally under my belt the biggest podcast that I show up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and it's like, and they're like, just come through. And I love those girls. And will it be forever? I don't know. We might, but we are still in alignment to this day. Like I just saw them yesterday and it was just like, man, I was telling B, I'm like, I feel like I see you all the time. I'm around you. But it's because it's text message. Yeah. I don't see them often. Yeah. Like literally we text all the goddamn time. And I'd be like, send me an email. Stop texting. I literally be like, email it. And they're like, well, voice note. And I'm like, email it. You have a producer. But I talk to them so often that when I see them, it doesn't feel like it, but I'm still in alignment with it. So when something just goes out of alignment, let it go and don't look left and right to see at somebody else's blessing because you're going to block your own.
But I think like once you like stepped into your purpose with this role in your life, it resonates, and that energy goes out and it attracts what is supposed to be yours, right? Like there's a certain big producer in town. We were, we're in the same circle, so we're friends, and I knew he had a family friend that was a realtor, so I knew for sure he was never going to use me, right? But I like, we're still friends, cool, no problem. Like he would ask me a couple real estate questions here and there, and then one day he was like, "Hey, Linda, I really need your help. You've been giving me the most like solid advice. Nobody's really giving me any tips and what I'm supposed to be doing." And I think it's like when I let go of chasing the business and like, hey, it's not mine, but I can still give, right?
Right.
Without expecting anything in return. And then he came. So I sold him a house. I sold him his first house, helped him sell his parents' house. And I think it's like once you let go of chasing after it and just being in your purpose and what you're supposed to do, what is already yours.
Mostly when you serve, I just recorded with Fabiana. We were talking about when she decided that she wanted to do it. She's like, God, I want to serve. You're serving constantly. I have not bought one thing from her. I couldn't say how long I'm like, I want to do this. She's like, there's this, there's that. And I'm still like, I'm not ready. Am I ready? Am I ready? Now in the entrepreneurship, I'm like, these numbers look crazy. There's like up and then down and up. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And now that Ayana's not home, I'm like, this house feels really big. Just me and Psalm, like Ayana's 18.
That house wasn't you.
No, I'm saying my house.
Oh.
Now that it's just me and Psalm, I'm like, do I gotta go? Nah, legit, I was about to text you and I'm like, maybe we should do investment first.
You could?
Because now I'm like, I'm good. I could close my carport, make that another room. And I'm like, I really am chilling here. And go with just investment properties and just make more income. And that's still mine.
Yeah.
That's still something that if I wanted to, I can go into, but I can just put a renter in there or do whatever. So now I'm like not leaving, but I still want to do it. And you've always answered my question. Now we're like, bitch, it's been 11,000 years and you still haven't like made the jump. But anytime that I reach out, you answer. And I think that's what is so impactful because you're constantly serving. And that comes back. And if someone ever were to ask me about a realtor, I know plenty,
Yes, you do.
yes, I know a lot of realtors. And I don't think there's anyone in my phone. I think I finally changed. No, I think I might say still Linda the realtor, so I wouldn't text the wrong person. Because I've texted the wrong person a few times. What is it under? Let me see. Did I call you? Let me see. Linda. Oh, it's actually your name. It must, and it's spelled right, so it has to have been that your contact shared.
I auto-updated that.
So so you changed it because it was Linda Realtor for years, and no one else has Realtor under and I know plenty, but I would never go to anyone else. I'd be like, if you need a Realtor in Orlando or in Florida, you're going to her. Like, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people know you as that because we can tell you love what you do, and you're not out here just doing it for the money.
The money's nice though.
Yeah.
The money opens doors. I think one of the things I love about real estate is it gives you the opportunity to be able to it opens doors that you wouldn't normally have been able to do. Like with the money that I've earned, I've been able to buy into a nightclub, a very popular nightclub here.
All the Asians own them.
I was able to invest in multiple restaurants.
I know that's right.
Help my brother open a restaurant. So
he cooks really good.
I've
never had your brother's food?
What's that?
I've never had your brother's food.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. I know
somebody else that loves it. Next time you're in Charlotte now.
Yeah, I know you used to do food deliveries.
Oh, yes, he did.
No, you did.
Oh, yeah.
With your brother's food.
Oh, yeah. I did that too.
No. I only know one that I saw and I was like, ooh, if she don't drop this food off and leave quick.
Anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's not just real estate. That's because you love what you do. And I think when you love what you do, it pays off. And then you're able to live and do so many other things.
Yes.
Because do you want to own a club and run a club?
No.
I'll
let somebody else do it and send me the check.
Correct. And that's what I'm saying. You're able to then expand and give and be in so many other places because you really are living and doing what you love to do. And that money will come when you chase what you really love. Like you were looking at the structure of, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I'm like, oh, the cabinets. Even when I did my kitchen, I'm like, y'all just, I didn't even know what sink I was getting till it got there. Didn't even know what the cabinets looked like before they got there. I'm just like, I just know I want white, sleek, blah, blah, make it look like this. And they do the rest. You love that. Like my dad, when he wanted me to get into real estate, it was for money. Like we got that license for the money purposes. Yes, the market crashed a year later. I was never going to be a good real estate agent. Never. I had the gift of gab, but I would have sold somebody a really messed up house because I'm not going to read the fine print. Like, so you're where you are. I wouldn't say it's because of real estate. It's because you love what you do, and that vessel is real estate.
Yeah.
So I do have some letters that we can do. There's two. We can do dumb real estate question from a beginner.
Oh my.
Or dating as an immigrant. Let's do the real estate one really quick.
Okay.
So it says, Carla, I saw on your Instagram stories you were having a real estate agent on the podcast. And she's here. And I have some questions that I feel nervous asking in person. I used to not have any money for a long time. My mother never taught me regarding finances except to make sure you pay your rent first and worry about everything else after. Forgive me if I'm asking the questions a child raised in a finance literate household should know. But I have some questions about the real estate as an investment, primarily the kind of real estate you live in, use yourself, as opposed to collecting rent, flip, whatever.
So buying for herself.
Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, buy your own house. I thought they meant like one of those that you live in and you have someone else next to you.
Maybe.
No. She meant like real estate living
Maybe a
in
duplex,
there.
okay.
I understand it's preferable to own a home because with renting, because you'll never see that money again. But real estate appreciation confuses me. Maybe it's because I live in a state with super high property taxes. But when I do the math on all the taxes I'll be paying, it is highly unlikely that the home's value will ever increase above its original value when I purchased it. Plus the amount of money I'm paying in taxes each year before I sell it. It's more like in the 10, 20 years, I'll probably break even, 10 years being wildly optimistic. And then any profit beyond that is super minimal. I understand the idea of using real estate investments to build wealth. If you're buying commercial real estate or apartment buildings, you'll collect money and income from. Please explain to me, like I'm 5, I just don't get it. Love your show.
So I think she's misunderstanding like the whole tax part wrong. Like, real estate naturally will appreciate. If you're looking at it in the short term, I can't tell you what it's going to do in the next year. But if you compare it today to 10 years from now, the property you bought at, let's just say $300,000 will likely be worth, let's say $350 on a safe scale, right? It will likely be worth $350 by the time in 10 years, let's just say. So you're going, historically speaking, the values will always go up. It's just like the stock market, you know what I mean? Like if you invested 20 years ago, you'd be Gucci today.
Right.
It's the same thing with real estate. Like it's always going to be valued more in the future. Now, it's hard to time the market, but like if you were to pay rent, you'll never see that again.
Right.
But at least let's just say in the 10 years that she owns the home, she bought it for $300,000 and 10 years from now, she can only sell it for $300,000. She's not losing money because the monthly payments that she's made towards her mortgage for those past 10 years, she at least gets that shit back, right? Yeah. When you rent, you don't see any of that.
Zero.
So, but the likelihood of it being like that is what it is. I tell ball players like that all the time. In the industry with ball players, their financial advisors, their sports agents tell them not to buy, and they're paying 8 to 10 because they don't know if they're staying there for a long time.
They can rent it or sell it.
Absolutely. But or they might get traded next season, whatever. But they're paying $8,000 to $10,000 a month in rent that they will never see again. And those houses that they're renting, if they got a mortgage on it, their mortgage is probably only $5,000-$6,000. Wow. So now they're saving money. So, and I tell them, even if you get traded next season, and you don't want to hold on to the property, even if you broke even, dude, you would still get that money back instead of $10,000 times 12 months. That's $120,000 down the drain that you don't ever see again.
Wow.
So same concept, right? Doesn't matter if you're a baller or a regular person, you can recoup that money back. But the likelihood of you breaking even is low. What you're going to probably get is a profit. As people who have seen this happen in 2016, 17, 18, people were like, the market's going to crash. And it didn't happen. The people that bought in 2017 sold in 2020 walked away with almost $100,000.
Jesus, let me see. Where I lived, that was just Alpine, and they were very high. I think they were in the $20,000-$30,000 a year property
crazy.
taxes. Now we're talking they're insane.
Yeah, and I get that.
But even then, and we're also talking about multi-million-dollar homes. And a regular home average, let's say $5,000 a year in property taxes, and like a nice 4-bedroom
That's
house or
like
whatever.
Florida.
Right. So 5,000 divided by 12 is only $416.
Correct.
So essentially, yes, we are by property taxes. The way I look at it, and tell me if I'm wrong, is you're paying rent on the land that we technically, the state still kind of owns.
Yes. Yeah.
And it pays for schools and roads and whatever the hell else.
Correct.
But we're paying rent on this land because even though we buy the land, it don't really belong to us. It belongs to the country. I don't know who the hell gets the money. So $416 in rent a month versus $3,000. Yes, you're not going to get back this $416, but I'd rather not get back $416 a month than $3,000 plus the $416.
Correct. That it's almost like that's the opportunity cost, or not the opportunity cost. That is a cost to doing business for you to be able to make more money.
How often does the property go down?
When the market goes down, but the real estate market goes in cycles. Like I don't think I can't say it'll ever do like what it did in 2009, 8, 9, 10, right? That was a weird situation. Just like people said it was going to crash again
They've been saying it's going to crash for years now.
And everybody who's waiting is the interest rates today affecting the market? Yes.
They're really high?
They're decently high. They're high as compared to 2 years ago when they were like 3%, right?
Will they go back down?
I think they will go back down a little bit, but it is 6% interest rate is kind of the new norm now. And that's normal. That's what my mama's interest rate is, and she bought her house 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Wow.
It just is what it is. Like, but you should only buy when you're ready, like and financially able to do so.
And that's one thing I will say. I feel like a lot of people are financially ready to do it. Actually, we'll bring you back one day and do like a real deep into like real estate. And if you really want to get into real estate, to buy, not to do, if you want to do real estate, go get a damn class and become a realtor and figure it out. Keep it like a side job though, because it's not gonna make you money right away. Unless you're, never mind. Reel it back. All right. Shit. Nah, we'll do that some other time. All right. So we close every episode with a Bible verse. What do you have? Like, what's the religion you grew up with?
Buddhist, but I also went to church a little bit.
Is Buddhism an actual religion?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I heard that Buddhism was.
It's also like you could also consider it like a way of life.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard it. Like it's a way of life.
Like you go to
Christianity is also a way of life.
Yeah, you go to a temple. You you pray, right? But it's different from Christianity. It's like it's almost like
just be a good person.
Yes. Be a good person, put out good, and good will come back to you.
Okay.
That's really it.
I think you've done a really good job with that. So I am Christian, so we finished with a Bible verse. Today I chose Psalm 128:2, not 91 because he's in daycare. Psalm 128:2. You will definitely enjoy what you've worked hard for. You'll be happy and things will go well for you. And
I'll take it.
That was one that really applied to you because you've worked really hard and you've enjoyed it. So it's like you'll enjoy what you've worked hard for. Like the hard work, joy will come. You'll be happy and things are going to go well for you. Will they go well every day? No, because life is lifing and Eve ate the apple. So we're going to go through some things. Every month the period will come. No, but you will really enjoy what you're doing. And basically it's just saying like God rewards those who work hard. And that comes in different ways. Honestly, it's like there's a variety of ways on what hard work looks like. But if you continue to put solid work ethic in, you deserve that outcome. So whatever you put in is what you're getting out. And I think, again, I will continue to say this, we're living in a very microwave era where we want to just put in very minimal work and expect this huge reward. And that's not the way it's going to happen. I feel like because I'm able to document, I document a lot of my life. They're like, wow, you haven't stopped. And I'm like, well, how do you expect for me to get a $50,000 check? I just received the biggest like one-time payout. It was $51,000.
Okay.
And I was waiting for it for a while.
Congratulations.
Had to pay a lot of that out. But it was like, wow, I was able to secure that payment for that ad. And actually, I'm lying. I'm totally lying. That was just happened to be the payout for that month. My biggest deal was 88.
Excuse us.
Yeah.
You said
And
I was rich?
No. Remember, I'm the
what was
production agency. I got to pay out the talent, and it goes everywhere. There's taxes and payouts, yeah. But that check came, and it came because I'm hustling.
Yep.
And not only that, actually, I'm lying. I've learned to not hustle anymore. I'm working on my business and taking time out for myself. I think I'm shifting from that hustle mode. I think a lot of my trauma still reflects in overworking and trying not to deal with like certain things and just going to work, not working out and working instead.
Overworking isn't the trauma. Overworking is your escape to escape from the trauma.
That's how I soothe myself essentially. Like I don't go to drugs.
So you don't have to think about it.
Right. That's my coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yes.
Yeah, I cope with overworking, but I'm working on, delegating, taking time to myself, doing things with the kids. But I have to put in hard work in order to get that back. And if I don't put in the work, you're not going to get it back.
But Carla, you have to, I feel like you need to give yourself credit. Like I've watched you from
bottles downtown.
Yeah, bottles downtown to taking selfies in front of the mirror at the accounting job to you being like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna do this podcast thing. And then you finding your passion and leaning into it. And you should enjoy the fruits of your labor because you have worked your ass off. And I've seen you do it. Mm-hmm. And I've seen you I've seen you grow into this space and you're fucking kicking ass. So you should be proud of yourself.
It's like when you're in the trenches.
Sure.
And you're in it, you don't really notice the day to day. But I had a really dope talk with Wallow. I'm like, I never would have thought I would have been in the same room. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not in there interviewing him maybe one day, but it's like I still get to have the conversations. I still get to hear and be there and get some of that energy.
Yep.
And I will say, although I hated that house in Alpine, and where my ex put us or whatever, being in that, and I told you this, being in that mansion and being, having Chris Rock down the street, although you can afford the house, being in that space was like, oh, they're so much bigger than my street. They're so much bigger than just this job. They're so much bigger than just the pods that I'm working. There's so much more. Mm-hmm. And that opens you to want to do more, but you're not going to get there unless you work really hard for it. And the Bible tells us you're going to enjoy what you worked hard for. You're going to be happy. Things are going to go well for you, but you have to put in the work.
Yes. You can't just pray about it.
No, you can't. And when I did start that little podcast, a lot of people had jokes and they had, what is she doing? Who does she think she is? Is that all she's going to do? Promote that podcast? And it's like, yeah.
But you did it right.
I am. I believed in it. And I'm sure there were people probably at some point was like, give up real estate. Do something else.
Oh, yeah.
They told you to give up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we didn't. And we're still here. So whatever you're doing right now, just continue to do so and work hard. And one day you will see the fruits of your labor. I can't tell you when. You can't figure out when, but you'll get it. Where can they find you business-wise? She is taken for the moment. You can't date her. Are you taken?
Yes. I'm just waiting for it,
We're waiting for a ring. We're waiting for a ring, sir.
Hint. No. Where can you find me?
Yes, and if they want to work with you and they want you legit here, you're only you have Florida only?
Florida. I mean, I have partner contacts that are really good.
But to work with you,
to work
Florida.
with me, yes. Florida, mainly Central Florida. I can do Miami. I can do Southwest Florida. If it's out of my reach and I feel like I can't service you properly, I will make sure that I connect you with somebody who can. But mainly Central Florida, investing, whatever. Linda Sells Orlando on Instagram. Pretty easy to find.
Is there a website for you?
It's working.
Really? So you work everything off Instagram right now?
Instagram or personal referrals.
Wow.
Or my past clients. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna change that. Yeah. Perfect. So Linda Sells Orlando. She's also in the description of the episode. Anything Florida, just please hit her up. Questions. I feel like realtors are the ones that y'all work a lot and have to wait forever for that paycheck.
We do.
It's sometimes is it worth it? But no, definitely she will help you, or like she said, connect you to who it is, and is the only realtor that I trust because it's the realtor that my daddy trusted. So Can't go nowhere else. As long as she's here, and if I'm doing Central Florida, it'll be her. Don't forget that if you're looking to launch your podcast, idtolaunchpodcast.com. I can help you do that within 30 days. Use the code PIVOT for $100 off. And I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.